What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, April 28th. 20-plus daycare centers are being raided by the FBI in Minnesota today. Jimmy Kimmel doubles down on his Melania Trump joke, and Cole Thomas Allen is officially charged in the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump. I'm AlecLace. This is the AlecLace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome, everybody, to the AlecLace Show. Happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the share button. Flying solo today, guys, here. Not going to keep you too long. I'm going to hit you with a few stories, obviously the big trending topics, and then get you out of here. Boy, it's a bad week for Somali fraudsters. I would say that because Ilhan Omar went absolutely super viral yesterday for her. You don't even want to call it a gaffe. It's just because she's an idiot and she's reading a prepared statement. And one of the things that she's reading is talking about World War II. So she's reading this statement that obviously, she didn't write because she doesn't know what a Roman numeral looks like. So instead of reading World War II, she reads World War XI. Watch this.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
And, of course, this thing took the internet by storm. Everybody getting in on this. People saying like, oh, my God, remember, putting up movies like Back to the Future 11, Star Wars 11. I put up the Jets won Super Bowl 111. I mean, the jokes went on and on. But it's really what's not funny is that we have people like this representing us in Congress. I mean, this is a congresswoman here. We joke and we laugh about it, but the joke is on us. Our founding fathers never could have imagined some foreigner who can't read, who can't write, who doesn't know how to speak, is up there representing the United States of America in Congress. How is that even possible? The Constitution's got Roman numerals all over it. How did she read Article 1? What does she think? Article 2 is Article 11? I mean, Article 11 is Article 111? I mean, what? It's funny, but it's not funny. It's sad, but funny. So that's going on with her. Now, where she is in Minnesota there, today the FBI is executing search warrants in 20-plus Somali daycare centers. This is all related to the fraud exposed there by Nick Shirley. But really, people say like it didn't begin with Nick Shirley exposing this. People in Minnesota, local news have been reporting this for more than a decade. They have been doing this. You had a big report where protesters were out there. I mean, I played it on this show before, where you had people out there calling this out in 2018. So it's not as if this thing just showed up all of a sudden when Nick Shirley got there. It's been going on for a long time. It's been accelerated by corrupt politicians like Tampon Tim Walz, who's now out of politics because of this stuff. But so far, I don't know of any arrests. I know that they're serving search warrants. I pray that it will lead to arrests and it will lead to the fraud to stop. We need answers on what was going on. Now look at how the left frames this. This is great. You got to love this. This is the New Republic. It's a left-wing rag. Feds descend on Minneapolis to pursue right-wing fraud theory. Federal agents have swarmed Minneapolis targeting Somali-linked child care centers. Now listen to how they put this. At least a dozen agents showed up at the mini child care center, one of the many daycares that right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley harassed while attempting to prove that Somali Americans were running an elaborate fraud scheme. A flimsy theory meant to target a minority population. No, that's how they frame it. So that's when it's just a theory. Well, if it's just a theory, why have we been talking about it since 2018? if it's just a theory. People have been pointing this out for years. It's a cover-up. It's a fraud that's going on. There's billions of dollars that are unaccounted for. And these Somali daycares that have no children in them, it's a scam. They are milking the system. There's a big cover-up going on in there, and it needs to be busted wide open. But here it is. Oh, they're targeting the Somali community. No, we're targeting the fraudsters who happen to be Somalian. That's what the story is here. But they have to frame it in a way, oh, it's a right-wing theory. Just like I said, the local news was reporting it. They didn't say, oh, it was a right-wing conspiracy theory. It was actually mainstream media news reporting. I showed you the one from 2014 in Ohio where they were finding the Somali daycare fraud. This has been going on for decades, and people have been covering it up. Again, we need to see arrests, prosecutions, and convictions. That's what has to happen here. Otherwise, the story is useless. All of it is useless. But that's what's going on now. So you have the daycares being raided today by the FBI, and it probably looks like World War XI up there the way it's going down. It did when you had all the riots going on or the ICE raids. We'll get into that in a second here. But let's go to this. Jimmy Kimmel, who gets a pass, by the way. Jimmy Kimmel gets a pass for wearing blackface, sniffing a girl's ass on live TV. Like, he gets a pass from the left because he hates Trump. So they're willing to forgive him. They never address it. It's never a problem for them. He just purposely wore blackface as a joke, and no one cares about it. There's no condemnation. Oh, that's all boy. He hates Trump. So he gets a pass for that. But what he does, and he was in the spotlight and in the crosshairs when he came up with the Charlie Kirk joke. He joked and mocked Charlie Kirk's assassination, and it was a big thing. They pulled him off the air. They were going to terminate his contract, and then now he's back on the air. He got an extension on his contract. So what does he do? He comes up with this Melania joke. He tells this Melania joke at his White House Correspondents' Dinner spoof on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, right? Here it was.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Right, tasteless. So obviously Melania Trump calls this out after the assassination attempt happens, and so Jimmy Kimmel comes under the gun. Everyone's wondering what's going to happen. Is ABC going to fire him? Is he going to come up with an apology? What does he do? He doubles down last night. Take a listen.
A call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it, because, by the way, I also should point out, Donald Trump is allowed to say whatever he wants to say, as are you, and as am I, as are all of us, because under the First Amendment, we have, as Americans, a right to free speech. But with that...
Right, no class whatsoever. And he gets around it by making the excuses like, I'm talking about the difference in their age. You're talking about the President of the United States and the First Lady being widowed here after there's been 2 attempts on President Donald Trump's life, okay? It's no secret. The left wants him dead. That's what they want. And he's playing into that audience. He's playing into that. Listen to how the crowd erupted when I played for the joke. The audience erupts. They love it because they want to see Trump dead. That's the truth. And he's playing to that audience. That's his only audience, obviously, which has dwindled. Now, a lot of people calling for his firing, ABC, Disney to fire him. Now, I think they should let his show die a slow death, like, because his ratings suck. No one's watching. Who's watching this stuff anymore? It certainly ain't the younger generation. It ain't staying up like, oh, we got to stay up and watch Kimmel tonight. No one cares. The only thing people see about Kimmel, the only reason why it was delayed, that people even responded to this, is because no one watched it. Everyone saw the clip on social media. That's how anybody sees this stuff. It ain't like people are like, oh, I gotta tune in tonight to watch Jimmy Kimmel. No one cares. So I don't know about, everyone's like, oh, he should be fired. Here's the reason why I think you make that play that he should be fired, is because look at what's happened to other people who have been fired for doing far less because they are just on the right. Like we saw what happened with Roseanne Barr. Right, she made a joke on Twitter. The Roseanne news show that they had canceled her. Right, we saw Gina Carano, whatever her name. She was let go by Disney. Big deal. So other people have been fired and held to accountability for what they have said or their actions on social media. But what the point out here is that there's a contrast here. There's a hypocrisy. Jimmy Kimmel gets a pass. The people who are vicious and just would normally, if anybody said that about Obama and Michelle being widowed, would be immediately terminated. And we know that. So I think that's why the calls for the firing are coming. But again, he gets a pass. He's going to get a pass with the joke. Jimmy Kimmel will get the pass for the Melania joke, just like he got a pass for the blackface, just like he got a pass for mocking like he's sniffing a girl's ass. He gets a pass for these things because he hates Trump, and that's okay. So it's the hypocrisy of it. Rather than see him fired, I'd rather just see the show die a slow death in the ratings charts, because the guy is not funny. His whole shtick is anti-Trump. And here's the difference. Let me button it up by this. Look at the difference in class and how far America has fallen, okay? In 1981, President Ronald Reagan was shot at that very same building, the Hilton in Washington, D.C., where the latest Trump assassination attempt happened. They were supposed to hold the Academy Awards, but they postponed the Academy Awards by a day because of this. Now, on the opening night of the Oscars, Johnny Carson gives the monologue. It's the day after Reagan is shot. Now, Johnny Carson, here's the beautiful thing. Nobody really knows what his politics were. A lot of people think he was a Democrat. Some say he was an Eisenhower Republican. He held liberal views, but he never put them out there. He went after everybody. We didn't know what Johnny Carson was, especially at the time. Here's how Johnny Carson handled it. And remind you, this is liberal Hollywood at the Oscars. 1981, the day after Reagan was shot. Watch this.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure that all of you here and most of you watching tonight understand why we delayed this program for 24 hours. Because of the incredible events of yesterday, that old adage, the show must go on, seemed relatively unimportant. The Academy, ABC Television, and all of us connected with the show felt because of the uncertain outcome, as of this time yesterday, it would have been inappropriate to stage a celebration. But the news today is very good, as you know. The president is in excellent condition at last reports. He's been conducting business. And he happens to be in very good spirits. After all, you must remember this is a man who yesterday, while he was in the hospital unable to speak, wrote on a sheet of paper, "All things considered, I'd rather be in Philadelphia." So tonight the show does go on. Now, 2 weeks ago, President Reagan videotaped an opening greeting for this occasion. We were in contact with the White House about 2 hours ago, and it was the president's express wishes that we use that introduction. And I might add that you might like to know that he also asked for a television set in his room so he could view this program tonight. Actually, the president was in such good form today, I was very tempted to call him and ask him if he had any more of those one-liners that I could use. So it is especially pleasing tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to say, here is the President of the United States.
listen to the applause like that. That's who we used to be. We used to be Team America. That's how we used to be. And it could be like that again. I pray we could get back to that spot again where, we could joke about one another, we could crack on one another, but when something like this seriously happens, we come together as a country. Like, we come together and say, no. What happened was wrong. We all condemn this. And we all got to get together here. And that's what happened that night. The day after Reagan was shot in liberal Hollywood, everyone was applauding the fact that Ronald Reagan was safe. Now, people say, he was one of them. He was an actor. Listen, nobody went after the liberals the way Ronald Reagan did up until President Donald Trump. Ronald Reagan was ruthless. I mean, he hammered them left and right. He was great at telling, mocking the liberals and telling jokes and stuff like that. He went after them. He did not like the liberals. But the way they responded was out of respect and out of class for the President of the United States. And I wish we could get back to that point again, where it's like right now, the minute something happens to Trump, half the country is applauding it. It's a sickness. We've never seen anything like it. So we see it now it boils to a point, and we have another one of these assassination attempts on President Donald Trump. Now, here's the latest. Cole Thomas Allen is charged with the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. He's officially charged. Now, that holds up to life in prison. Why it doesn't hold a firing squad, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. You would think that would hold it. So he gets that. He gets two other charges. One is bringing firearms across a state line because he came from California with the guns. And so he's got a charge for that, and he's got a charge for discharging the firearm in a federal building, something along those lines. We'll probably see other charges as well. But he has been officially charged with the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. Now, how many other Cole Allens are out there right now? How was Cole Thomas Allen radicalized? Where did this all begin? Right now, if you look at Alex Petty, if you look at Alex Preddy and Renee Good, they died because they were convinced that ICE agents were the Gestapo, like literally the Gestapo. That's what they believed. So you had Alex Preddy, Renee Good, in their minds were convinced. They were indoctrinated, they were duped, they were brainwashed to believe that ICE agents were the Gestapo. That's a mental illness that they had. They were convinced that they were saving the day by going out there and interfering with federal operations, where the ICE agents are getting criminals out of our country. They felt like they were on the right side because they had been convinced by the media, by Democrat leadership, that they were in the right, and it cost them their lives. Renee Good steered her car at a federal agent. Number one, she's blocking a federal operation. She's impeding an investigation. She's in the way. She's purposely put herself in a position where she thought she was like some kind of savior. In her mind, she believed it because she was brainwashed. And then she drives her car at a federal agent. It costs her life. And who's responsible for that? She's responsible for her own actions, but where did she get these ideas from? The mainstream media, the Democrat Party. Same with Alex Preddy. Here's a guy that went Looney Tunes, thinking that he's protecting somebody. He's doing something right. He goes and he impedes and he inserts himself into a federal investigation where ICE is arresting an illegal alien, and it costs him his life. He ends up assaulting one of the ICE officers, and he dies as a result of it. So these indoctrinations, you may think they're funny, we may think they're cute, but they're dangerous. But even Alex Preddy's parents, his mom's telling him, "Oh, please don't do anything stupid. Don't get involved," because they could see it. And you could see it with these people in your family or in your neighborhood. You could see the changes in these people. You've never seen anything like it in your life before. Normal people that you've known in your family, in your neighborhood, in your community, whatever it may be. Normal people. Since Trump came on the scene, you've seen them all of a sudden change into like these rabid animals that the minute you mention Donald Trump's name, it looks like their head is going to explode. Their heart rate rises. Their blood pressure is up just from dropping Trump's name. We all know somebody like that. That's why they call it Trump derangement syndrome. Here's Cole Thomas Allen. He's a guy seemingly from a nice family. right? And his sister ends up, who's a liberal also, ends up seeing the signs and the changes in this guy and actually reports this guy to police, or the family has reported this guy saying, this guy's becoming unglued. And what is it that indoctrinated him? Mainstream media, the Democrat Party, probably the college university, Caltech, that he went with. How many teachers are out there indoctrinating your children right now with this bullshit that these people are believing? Cole Allen, according to his paperwork, thought he was, it's vicious to say the words because, number one, it'll get me censored depending on which platforms I play this on. Not on Rumble, obviously, or X, but, he accuses Trump in his manifesto of basically child endangerment and, sexual abuse against women, right? To put it mildly. And he really believes that because he's been convinced, and it's been repeated and repeated so many times that he actually believes it. So he goes and he sacrifices his life, and he didn't even get within, he didn't even get close. But he was convinced that he was on the right side of history and he was doing something for good because he's been infiltrated. His mind was infiltrated. He's been indoctrinated here. And the mainstream media, instead of coming out and putting a stop to this, they doubled down on it. Now, you've seen this Norah O'Donnell on 60 Minutes. Why President Trump goes on to 60 Minutes, I have no idea. 60 Minutes, which he knows, right, edited an interview with Kamala Harris during the election, the campaign, to make her look smarter. They changed her answers, changed the question. They specifically edited the 60 Minutes video to make Kamala Harris look better. They're frauds. Trump knows this, yet he goes on 60 Minutes, and Norah O'Donnell doesn't disappoint. She reads out the manifesto on air of these child misconduct, just brutal, vicious. And Trump calls her out on it. It says, that's not what I am. I'm none of those things. Why are you reading the words of a maniac on 60 Minutes? It's because and then she plays Mickey the Dope. She plays like an idiot. Oh, you thought he was, you think he's talking about you? Oh, you think he's talking about you? She plays stupid. She knows damn well because it's clearly laid out in the manifesto that he's talking about President Trump. Clearly laid out. But she plays stupid. But they do that on purpose. And they have the ability, the media has the ability to stop this, but they choose not to. They fan the flames. Same with the Democrat Party. And it's very easy to do it. You know people that truly believe that that's what Trump is. That he's done things to little children, that he's done inappropriate things with women. It's like they truly believe it because they've been duped. They think he's a Nazi. They think he's Hitler. They think he's a fascist. They think all this stuff. Their heads have been filled up with bullshit. And now it's costing young people their lives. You seen the kid, Thomas Crooks. The kid looked like he was a teenager, right? Went up there and got killed. You seen Tyler Robinson, this other guy. He kills Charlie Kirk. But meanwhile, they're telling you, it's a both sides issue. They keep telling you this. The mainstream media always tries to play like, well, it's on both sides. It's not on both sides. They shot at Trump. They tried to kill Trump 3 times. They murdered Charlie Kirk. What are you talking about? It's only going, the bullets are flying in one direction here. And then you have these idiots that are on there saying, it was fake and staged. If you think it was fake and staged, you're fake and gay. That's the bottom line. Because these people are so dumb, and they know it's not fake, but they're playing that up. They're playing that angle. It gets engagement. It gets clicks. I understand that. But if you truly in your heart think that this was a staged event on purpose, then you should probably be committed yourself. But you're so filled up with all this other nonsense and indoctrination that you're going to believe anything. Imagine thinking that this was staged, but January 6th wasn't, right? Imagine thinking that. January 6th, where we have evidence of paid informants being in the crowd to rile up the group that's there. We have Trump on camera urging his supporters to be peaceful and patriotic, yet they never play that clip, right? The 2 most censored President Trump clips are when he, on January 6th, told his followers, told the crowd, be peaceful and patriotic. Okay, so we're going to march down to the Capitol, Peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard. The media specifically edits that out because they want you to believe he incited a riot on January 6th. If the media was honest, that's the first clip they would play. Wait a minute, wait a second here. Here's what the president told the people. Listen, and that would be important for them to do. But they specifically don't. They don't do it. They never air that. Here's another, the second most censored clip. Kamala Harris brings this up during the debate. That Trump said Nazis were fine people. The media has purposely allowed that rumor, that lie, to fester for like 10 years. When Trump actually said they should be condemned totally. But the media purposely doesn't do it because they want that base to be riled up and angered and believe that theory, that Trump's a Nazi, that Trump incited a riot. These are sick people. And then you had people saying, excuse me. And then you have people saying, oh, it was a coordinated thing on X. Oh, look, the word went out, the ballroom. Trump wants the ballroom. This was a whole thing to get the ballroom to get through. Now, number one, Trump has been pushing the ballroom, but ballroom was trending on Twitter, right? When something trends on Twitter, the reason it trends is because thousands of people are using that word. This is why everybody who's trying to get engagement on Twitter is going to use words that are trending, topics that are trending. Ballroom was trending. So what they do is they pull a screenshot of 10, 15 accounts and go, look, this was a coordinated thing. They called one another and told each other what to tweet. Idiots. It's trending on Twitter. Ballroom. There was 100,000 to 500,000 posts about the ballroom following the Trump assassination attempt. And they're like, oh, it was a coordinated attack, a coordinated messaging that went out. What are you talking about? 500,000 people were tweeting about the ballroom. You pulled 5 accounts and been like, look, they're coordinating this. That's how dumb these people are. But it's dangerous. It's dangerous stuff, and it's only going to get worse. And that's why parents worry about this when they send their kids to college, because how many of these teachers are filling these kids up with this hatred? You've seen kids, literal kids in grammar school, walking out of class with signs protesting ICE. They're being indoctrinated to think ICE is the bad guys, and the media forever will never use the word illegal alien. They'll never use the word illegal immigrant. They never separate illegal and immigrant. They always use it together. Oh, immigrants. They're going after immigrants. They're going after immigrants. It's a lie. Going after illegal immigrants. But they never say that. They do it on purpose. That's why we're where we're at right now. Because they do these things on purpose. So how many other Cole Allens are out there? Some of these people are dangerous. You see them at these No Kings rallies. Cole Thomas Allen went to one of these No Kings rallies. This is why it's important to embed it into your kid's mind. And I think it was Jim Rohn said it best. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And that is what they are after. They are after your mind in all of these college institutions, in all these public schools, in our media, in Hollywood. They're all after your mind. And they are warping the mind of so many people out there. Here's Obama, right? Last piece on this. President Obama, he tweets out, this is well after the manifesto was released. He puts, although we don't yet have the details about the motives behind last night's shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Don't have the motives. The guy wrote a manifesto telling you that he wanted to assassinate Trump. Barack Obama knows this. He's playing stupid. Now, remind you, the Democrat Party, immediately after Jesse Smollett was attacked by people in MAGA hats saying this is MAGA country, right? Immediately after that happened, before we knew what the motives were, all the Democrats came out and condemned it. Racism. Oh, they came out so strong against it. And then it turns out the whole thing was staged and fake. There's an instance right there that was fake and staged. How? Because it was obvious. That's what we're seeing now with all this other stuff that's been paid by the SPLC, by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They actually put people in there to organize the Unite the Right rally at Charlottesville. We see all this trail. So it's like they're like, oh, no, the Trump thing was staged. There's zero evidence. It's so dumb to think that it is. But here on the other side, Charlottesville's clearly staged. It's clearly been paid for and organized. January 6th, we know we have hundreds of informants that are paid in there to incite the people. And they're like, oh, no, that was all legit. Because that's their golden goose. Like, January 6th is their golden goose. They can't threaten that. So, how many more people are out there? How many more Cole Thomas Allens are out there? Scary stuff. But that was President Donald Trump. Former President Barack Obama saying, "Oh yeah, we don't know the motives yet." So you had two narratives that died on the vine because of this correspondence shooting that had the attempt on Trump's life. Number one was the gun laws. The left, of course, as they always do, try to push, it's gun laws. We need more stricter gun laws. Washington, D.C. has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, right? He bought the guns in California, which is also at the top of the list for strictest gun laws in our country. So that theory is out the window. More gun laws ain't doing anything there. When they say more gun laws, they mean taking your guns away. That's all they mean, is getting rid of the guns. They don't mean gun laws. They mean guns gone. That's what they mean. Don't let them fool you with that. But that narrative died. Gun laws. No gun laws would have stopped it. The other one was that people of color, when interacting in a shootout with police, are always killed. And white perpetrators are always taken into custody alive. That's the narrative that we hear from the left and from the loonies. They say, people of color, they're never taken alive. They're always shot dead by the police. Well, here's an instance where a person of color is shooting at the Secret Service federal agents and is taken alive into custody. So I was told that that's impossible to happen. But the truth is, that is a lie, because we've seen it now happen here. And the guy is alive, he's been arraigned, he'll be charged, and he'll do life in prison. So two narrative busters on that. And, I'll say, like, some of the reactions that we got out of this, and I'll just go over a few of them. I posted this. I thought they were pretty good. And I gave them each a name, but whatever. I thought Pete Hegseth, the warrior, right? Donald Trump, the legend. A lot of people had the meme going because he was looking at Melania Trump with that face saying, hey, first time. He's been down this road before. The UFC president, Dana White. Dana White, he had probably the funniest interview after this. The most, he was like, man, I wasn't going to get down. I enjoyed it. I was looking around. I was taking in the moment. You had the New Yorker, the guy sitting there just eating his salad while all this stuff's going on. Right? He said, I didn't want to get on the floor and get my tux dirty. And I'm in New York. I hear this stuff all the time. You had the father, Stephen Miller, his wife pregnant, protecting her, huddling her so she's protected and then getting her out of there. You had the friend, Dan Scavino, who was hopped right over the table looking to get over to his best friend, President Donald Trump. You had RFK Jr., this is probably his 100th time. He just sat there staring at it. He's seen his brother assassinated. He's seen his father assassinated, his uncle assassinated. His whole family has been steeped in just trauma and turmoil. So he just pretty much sat there and watched it all take place. You had the journalists stealing the bottles of wine. And you had the Instagram influencer who took the selfie. So you've seen there was a lot of different reactions that went down as a result of this. We could kind of have a little bit of, fun with some of this stuff because everybody is safe. Nobody died. The Secret Service guy who was shot is recovering or is recovered. It hit his bulletproof vest. Now there's going to be an investigation about what the hell happened here, because here is the issue, is that this guy fired once, hit a Secret Service agent. They fired 5 times and didn't hit anybody. There's a problem there with that. So we need to find out what's going on. Now, people are shedding a little cloud on this. Was he definitely shot by the shotgun? It seems that way from the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, yesterday, that's the case. But he was just short of confirming this, saying we still need to run ballistics and stuff like that. He kind of left it open a little bit. So people were worried, did the Secret Service guy get shot in the crossfire Because, I mean, the only thing that's very, very bad here is that they didn't shoot and kill this guy. I mean, you would think that if you open fire in a vicinity of Secret Service, you're going to be shot dead within minutes. Within seconds. That's what we normally believe. How this guy was able to get out and taken away in custody alive is really, really kind of bizarre. And the fact that they fired 5 times and didn't hit the guy is scary. I know we had back in 2023 when carjackings were out of control in Washington, D.C., which is amazing that they have plummeted now because Trump came in and cleaned up the crime in Washington, D.C. But while Biden was there, it was carjacked city. So bad that they actually carjacked the Secret Service, not knowing what they were doing. They carjacked the Secret Service and took the car. And the Secret Service opened fire on the street and shot at the guy. They missed him. So you got to wonder if they're hitting the firing range over at the Secret Service training camp. We got to tighten that up a bit. Anyway, and there's a lot of events coming up, man, where Trump is going to be in high risk situations. He's going to be attending the FIFA World Cup. We know he's going to have the UFC fight at the White House. He's going to have this Grand Prix race that's going on. He's got a lot of these Freedom 250 events because America's celebrating their 250th anniversary. He's going to have the Olympics coming down the line. I mean, there's a lot of events President Trump going to be attending, and the Secret Service got to get it tightened up. One of the things I wanted to drop on you here was, one of these unhinged liberals is this Congresswoman DeRosa, who looks like, I don't know what she looks like. She looks like the Danny DeVito penguin, right? She's going at it with the EPA secretary there, Lee Zeldin, the commissioner or whatever the title is. Lee Zeldin, them going back and forth. The exchange gets fiery. Lee Zeldin hits her with every fact in the book. She can't win the argument, so she basically tells him to drink or inject poison. And then he shuts her down, and she's stupefied. She sits there stupefied and can't even think of anything to say. I mean, it was brilliant. There's a longer clip. It's like a 2-minute. The whole thing is like a 5-minute clip. I'm just going to play you the part I thought was best. Take a listen.
You're holding up a cup saying glyphosate. Don't drink it. Don't inject it.
Maybe you should try doing that. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to move on to a second question, Mr. Chairman.
I hope it's not as long as the first one.
Well, it wouldn't have been prolonged, except that it's interesting.
Yeah, we come with facts. We have answers.
Go ahead.
Okay. It really is. They're really so blank arrogant, when they're really making a mockery of what the agencies are all about.
Again, that was great, but she looks so stupefied to think, but who's electing these idiots? Like this, the Rosa chick is whacked. She is a total whack job. What is she doing there? Who is voting for these people? These are some wild people that we're seeing in Congress. It's amazing that it's gotten like this. But yeah, that was a great takedown by Lee Zeldin. It went viral yesterday. I thought that was kind of the best piece. She basically telling them to drink poison is what she's telling them to do. And she gets a pass because she's a nut job. One of the best things we had happen yesterday was, and I'll kind of end with this story here for you guys. Again, I told you I'll keep it short, was this Guy Rivera was sentenced to 115 years to life. Guy Rivera is the animal who murdered Detective Jonathan Miller of the NYPD. And we were worried about this because they took the murder or whatever charge they dropped from this guy. The NYPD was ready to, all walk off the job because of this. And it looked like, oh, my God, here we go. He's going to get the lesser charge, and he's going to get the less sentence. But thank God that justice prevailed, and this guy was sentenced to 115 years to life. He'll never get out. It was so heartbreaking. Detective Jonathan Miller's wife or widow was up there and gave a final words to Guy Rivera. It's just heartbreaking to watch. Remember, President Donald Trump went to the wake for the Dilla family to help console them. It was just such a vicious and senseless killing of this young father. It was just brutal, and you really do. You feel bad for the widow of Detective Diller. And it's nothing to joke about, right? And there's Jimmy Kimmel talking about an glowing expectant widow. There's no such thing as that. I mean, and that's why it's so heartless what Kimmel says. But it was heartbreaking to see that, and I'm grateful that this guy, Rivera, will be doing life behind bars. Again, I think he should get the death penalty. Now, here's the last thing I'll say is, where is Pope Leo commenting on this assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, right? We heard so much from Pope Leo to combat President Trump and even say, well, out of one side of his mouth, I'm not a politician. Out of the other side of his mouth, commenting on policy, whether that's Iran, whether that's deportation, whether that's closing the border, whether that's death penalty. Because the other day, when Donald Trump reinstated the firing squad as a death penalty option for federal offenders, immediately within hours, Pope Leo comes out with a video condemning the death penalty. Almost immediately. Death penalty, no good. Right after Trump just reinstated the firing squad. Where has he been here commenting on this political violence from the left? Why has he not come out and said, thank God President Donald Trump is okay. Left-wing violence is never okay. They got to stop. This is the third time they tried to kill him. Please, left-wing extremists, remember, this is not what God wants, right? Give us something. He takes a vow of silence. Isn't that interesting and very telling? He's quick to comment when if Trump zigs, he zags. He goes into Iran. Oh, we shouldn't be doing that. Closes the border. Nah, He gets around it by saying, oh, yeah, he gets around that by saying, yeah, what they're doing to immigrants is inhumane. He calls the treatment of immigrants inhumane. He doesn't say illegal immigrants, right? The treatment of immigrants is inhumane. It's illegal immigrants, and it's not inhumane. What's inhumane is the way illegal immigrants are treating American citizens, but we've never gotten a comment on that either from the Pope. But he's very quick to jump in there and criticize Trump, policy after policy, Iran, immigration, death penalty. But when Trump has an attempt on his life, all of a sudden, the Pope has a vow of silence. Fascinating to see. You would think he would have been one of the first ones to say, no political violence. Left-wing extremism is wrong. Thank God President Trump is okay. He did none of those things. And honestly, not surprising. All right, so those were the things I had for you today. I know that we have the King Charles and the Queen Camilla or Camellia or whatever her name is at the White House today. That's a big deal. There's an actual king here in the United States. There's nobody protesting the king. That's one of another thing people have been indoctrinated with. Oh, Trump's a king. Well, how's he a king? We don't know. Nobody knows, right? Oh, Trump's a Nazi. How's he a Nazi? We don't know. We have no idea. Trump's a fascist. Well, what is a fascist? Well, we don't know. We have no idea. We're just holding signs and repeating slogans. They have no clue what they're talking about. Trump's a king. How? We don't know. Here's a sign. The people are so stupid. But an actual king is here in the United States. I don't get it. I never have. I never will. I don't understand the whole thing. I think the entire monarchy thing collapses in the next decade. It's going to be gone. I don't think anybody cares about it anymore, especially, I don't know, maybe they do in Britain or in Europe. I don't know. But it just seems so dumb. They don't do anything. They're just like, oh, yeah, this is who we are. Okay, no one cares. We had all the drama, Prince Harry and Prince this guy, and who cares about all this stuff? It's really mind-boggling. People are really into it, though. Some people are diehards. But I think I think it'll fizzle out in the next decade or so, and that'll be the end of it. I think this guy, who is it, William, right? The Princess Diana's kid, William. That might be the last guy in the lineage. That might be it after him. Anyway, nobody cares about it. Also, we have the latest on Iran. Trump tweeting out, Iran's in disarray because they've chokeholded the Strait of Hormuz. They're not allowing Iran. It's crushing their whatever left they have of their leadership, their economy. Trump is, playing this game with them, and he will win in the end. Right now, I think the crude oil went up. We'll see it drop back down once this thing gets resolved. That's what we're praying for. But we'll keep our eyes on what's going on in Iran, as well as the rest of the stuff. Follow me on X at AlecLace for the latest. I'll work on a guest for Thursday, and I'll come back at you then, all right? Until then, God bless you parents and you listeners out there. God bless our police and our first responders. God bless our veterans and our military. God bless America, and I'll catch you guys on Thursday.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm at the White House with my dad, and you're watching The AlecLace Show.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.